Hi everybody, I'm Ruechel and welcome to this portion of the PCS Journal where we sit down and chat with folks within Pinellas County Schools, and Dr. Michael Grego, the superintendent, is joining us right now. Good to see you.
Great to see you too, Al.
Well, here we are up and running. We're actually looking down the line toward graduation and those kind of things. So just kind of give me a summary of how the school year is going as far as you're concerned.
Actually, the school year is going very, very well. Our students are doing great. Our teachers, last night, as I know we talked about a little bit earlier, we had the Teacher of the Year back at our awards assembly last evening at the tremendous Mahaffey Theater. And so recognizing our support employees, our teachers, and things are going really well.
That's great. Well, and you know, you're wonderful because you have this big process. You use a Teacher of the Year. When we just got done doing our A+ teacher feature, there was just a few of us that were making the judgment, and it's so hard because in reality, all of our teachers are specialized and are doing such a great job for us.
They really are. We had a teacher nominee from every single school. We had a sold-out Mahaffey Theater. The Pinellas Educational Foundation came in full force. We had tremendous prizes for the teachers, but one of the things that last night was really resonated with the audience, and I hope the community, is the value of teachers.
Yes.
And how teachers contribute. The comments I made last night is I referred to them as superheroes, and I said, you know, we go to the movies and we are attracted to superheroes, and really every single day we have superheroes all around us, and I consider those the teachers. So the teachers that were there last night simply represent the good teachers throughout Pinellas County. As you know, David Martinez-Cooley, a music teacher and also a math teacher.
Oh, what a combination. Actually, that makes a lot of sense, music and math, because they go together.
He teaches at Leela Davis Elementary School. This morning he's being brought to school in a stretch limousine, and all the students will
Don't get used to that.
Celebrate him. So I just want to thank all of our sponsors. Yeah. Aetna was the key sponsor, title sponsor, but the foundation did a fabulous job, and so did our staff.
So we're kind of passing out kudos this morning, and we will some more of these other things. So this wonderful, wonderful Civil Rights March the kids from Clearwater had. I mean, wow. Seeing the pictures. Tell us a little bit about that for folks that we didn't catch that.
You know, the Civil Rights Ambassadors, it started as a club and an organization at Clearwater High School, and I very much applaud students taking control of their own education. And each year they plan a trip throughout the Southeast, and they ended up in Washington. One year I was able to join them in Washington, D.C. in their travels, and everything is student planned, is student directed. Money is earned and raised by the students. They came back last year and said, you know, we keep doing this, but we need to somehow impact our local community. How do we spread this to other high schools? Al, every single high school was represented. I was so proud. Over 800 students came and listened and assembled at Clearwater High School's auditorium. And at that time, we listened to Linda Blackman Lowry, who was the youngest person to march for voting rights in 1965, and she was a tremendous speaker. Yeah. I would advise anybody, we have that on tape, and to listen to her message.
Yeah, and you know, it's so important, as I was looking at all those pictures, is that we who are older than 21, much older, we forget that many of our students do not know and understand what the civil rights movement was about, and how this was a movement that swelled up within the people, and that the people have the ability to change the direction of government if they just band together.
That's so true, and what was really interesting is that what Miss Blackman Lowry expressed to the students is that even back in that time in 1965, it was a youth movement. Is that young people marched, because their parents, if they marched, they would lose their jobs, they would lose everything they had. So the young people marched. And as the audience chuckled because she was thrown in jail 9 times, she emphasized to them she was never thrown in jail for hurting anybody, taking anything that wasn't hers, but she was thrown in jail for believing her rights and fighting for those rights. And so it was a tremendous speech. We then went down. I thank Mayor Kritikos and the city of Clearwater, who opened up their bridge and the city, and with the police department, our own school's police, and our students had that walk. I can guarantee this: our students and the students there and throughout our high schools understand more about the civil rights movement in this country because they're living it.
Let's talk just a little briefly before we get into some more of these talking points. And any inklings from the legislature? They've just been in session now, what, 2 weeks, and kind of where we're headed now? It seems that the governor, I know, wants these increases. Have you heard any more about that?
Yes, I mean, the House just came out with a budget yesterday in terms of increasing or placing a $650 million sort of line item or categorical, a supplemental teacher. And so how that, the actual implementation language hasn't been issued yet, and so we're working with our elected officials for that. The Senate had a slightly different plan. The governor really wants that starting teacher salary to be as close to $47,500, so do we.
Yeah.
We want to figure out how to get to that finish line where we're compensating all teachers.
Yeah, that's the sticky part,
that's
isn't
the sticky
it?
part.
Complicated. We
really do want to value and really do want to compensate all teachers regardless. At the same time, the state of Florida is looking to raise that beginning teacher salary to attract teachers, attract young people to go into the profession because that starting teacher salary is so important. There are some bills on early childhood education that we're working to reestablish some of the accountability measures for the VPK programs that was originally established. They've kind of fallen off the table a little bit over the years. The VPK funding should go up. It's in the budget to increase a little bit, and we welcome that. Career and technical education is being looked at. As you know, we have some Darryl Roussan, Senator Roussan, and Representative Diamond sponsored a bill to place a high school seal on the diplomas of students who are in the fine arts or performing arts for 3 consecutive courses, and just recognizing the arts through the high school diploma.
Now let's talk about the College and Career Center just launched. Tell me about that, because we always seem to be so focused on just getting the kids through K through 12, and now we're looking ahead to college and careers.
You've done some wonderful segments about elevating excellence, and this is a branch off of it. It all falls into that same ball of wax, elevating excellence, taking students who are capable to go to universities and colleges throughout our state and nation, and providing them the resources and tools, along with their parents, to navigate a very complicated system in terms of college admissions. The College and Career Center is a place. It's a lab. It's a place with actually individuals, counselors that help. We know that counselors with their student-teacher ratios can't get all of this work done, so we've established places in schools with a trained person or a counselor to really help our students. Helios Foundation will be supporting this, along with the Jacobson Foundation and many others. We have, right now to date, Al, we've received over $2.5 million in philanthropic support for elevating excellence. The College and Career Centers, we're having ribbon cutting with Helios. They are investing in us. They want to see underrepresented students, as well as all students, have access to higher education.
And you know, one of the things that now we have 4 kids, so we went through the process. Deadlines was something that was just kind of slipped through the cracks. There's nobody telling us, oh, you have this deadline, you have to have this submitted. And the FAFSA, oh dear Lord, for any parent that had to fill that out, I mean, that would just freak you out in terms of how much money they think you could afford. But again, the goal is that you've got to get this paperwork and stuff in early and on time. Otherwise, your abilities to get into these colleges and universities is severely limited.
And it starts early.
Yeah.
And so what we have is actually these 6 pillars that we have. We start those timelines in 9th grade. And so what types of courses should you be taking?
Yes.
How can you increase your PSAT scores for your SAT scores? Like it or not, entrance exams in the SAT or ACT is one of the key factors. So you could have all of the boxes checked. If you can't get a qualifying score in SAT or ACT, you might not even be considered. So we have to hit all of these. We have to balance all these plates in the air, so to speak.
You know, speaking of testing, I got asked this in my favorite place for gathering information, in the grocery store.
In the grocery store.
Well, a lady was asking me, she says, well, you know, I don't like it the kids are being tested, but what's taking its place now? Because she thought, well, we all hear this talk, there's not going to be as much testing, but then how do you measure how well kids are doing? She was concerned that she didn't know what was taking its place.
So we go too far.
Yeah.
We're in no fear of going too far right now.
Okay.
I mean, the state is still conducting the Florida Standards Assessment. We still have end of course exams. We do our own formative assessments. But she's right. You send students to school to ensure that they're learning something. The only way, whether it be our era or Generation L, where every Friday we had a quiz or something, the teachers have to determine. So we taught, but to what degree did students learn? And how do we know what they learned? And how do we go back if they didn't learn it? How do we go back and reteach it? So the comprehension or the assessment isn't, it got a little bit of a bad name over the years because we just kept throwing more and more, industry type of tests.
They didn't appear to be measuring tools. They were rather you teach to the test, and that was.
And do they have a purpose?
Right.
Like the PSAT or SAT has a purpose. It's for an entrance exam.
All right, we got a couple other things. We're talking about the Freddie Dials Gym unveiling. Did I say that right? Gibbs High School?
You did, and the board voted, I think, last spring to name and rename or dedicate the gym at Gibbs, Freddie Dials, a legendary basketball coach, and that's going to be this Saturday, just a grand opening, a great celebration. Wherever we can celebrate the community with the people, and that's where our school district is. You asked the first question about how are we doing. I think we're doing great because we're celebrating things like Freddie Dials, Coach Dials, and people from the community will gather around him and say thanks for such a great. The number of lives a coach impacts is phenomenal.
It's tremendous.
Yeah.
Also, Azalea Elementary School. This is really good. The 2019 Start with Hello Elementary School winner for the Southeast region. Sandy Hook Promise. What's that?
Well, Sandy Hook Promise is something we started about 3 years ago now, actually before the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas tragedy. And we started to say we need to create safer places in schools, but we need to do it based on what students, based on the students. So Sandy Hook Promise is a national movement that was started obviously from this tragedy of Sandy Hook. And we've been associated with it in Azalea, and there's various programs depending on the grade level. The elementary is Start with Hello, and it's such a great program. So Azalea Elementary School went into a full-fledged competition with all of the elementary schools across the Southeast, and they're named. If you remember last year, Madeira Beach Fundamental Middle K-8 won the same award.
That's right.
And Sandy Hook, the national office came down, and they were just so pleased with Pinellas County and our commitment to Sandy Hook Promise.
And one more thing we want to mention while we're talking about kudos, 6 Pinellas schools won National Merit Awards for exemplary magnet programs. Wow, that's great.
We have a lot of magnet programs, but having a lot and having quality programs are two different things. I really want to continue to push these quality programs. So Richard O. Jacobson, our new technical already is being recognized by the Magnet Schools of America. These are 3 schools that have been honored for Schools of Excellence, which is the highest. Gulfport Montessori Elementary in Ridgecrest, this is the school for the Center of the Gifted Studies. And then 3 schools were recognized for Schools of Distinction, and that's Douglas Jamerson Elementary School Center for Math and Engineering, James B. Sanderland K-8 IB School for its International Baccalaureate program, and Perkins Elementary School for the Arts and International Studies.
Yeah,
we're real pleased with it.
Absolutely great stuff going on. All right, Dr. Grego, thank you so much for your time. Always great things going on in Pinellas County Schools. So get connected, folks. We've got other programs you might be interested in coming up in future programs, so make sure you stay with us. We're back with more right after this.